will transition into our second panel discussion, and we shift our focus into the invaluable contributions of women in African American history. Our esteemed panel includes one, Mrs. Pam Morris Watson. And so Pam Morris Walton has been a fixture in the radio industry for nearly 3 decades, starting at KJLH in Los Angeles before moving to the WBEE and V103 FM in Chicago. Currently hosting Gospel with Pam Morris Walton on WVON, she is celebrated for her contributions to the gospel music scene. Pam's extensive career also includes 20 years of event planning for the city of Chicago, where she organized major events such as the Gospel Music Festival and Mayor Daley's annual Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. Interfaith Breakfast. Let's give a round of applause for Mrs. Morris Watson. The second person we have is the Honorable Reverend Gwendolyn Appleberry, a licensed and ordained minister of metaphysical science. She received her Story Award at the Global Women's Peace Network launch in 2019. With a Bachelor's of Arts degree from the University of Metaphysics, she was dedicated over 19 years of pastoring at God's Gift Ministries while actively engaging in community initiatives, including educational seminars and economic development projects in Inglewood. Reverend Appleberry's commitment to empowering her community extends to her radio show, Good Words for Better Living, where she highlights individuals contributing to the growth of Inglewood and neighboring areas. Let's give a round of applause for Pastor Gwen Appleberry. Now we have Dr. Tanya Winston. Dr. Tanya Winston, President and CEO of New Age Services Corporation, is an esteemed leader with a strong background in social work and business psychology. Passionate about healing trauma, she fosters mutual trust and respect in her approach, evident in her successful policy revamps and program implementations. Her visionary initiatives, including securing federal funding for behavioral health services, underscore her commitment to making a lasting impact in the communities that she serves. Let's give a round of applause for Dr. Winston. And now we have Dr. Zenobia Sowell. Dr. Zenobia Sowell, known as the Gentle Dentist, is CEO of Sowell Dental Associates and co-pastor of Bethel Mennonite Church in Chicago. A native Chicagoan, she has served her community for over 25 years, combining her passion for dentistry with global missionary work, humanitarian efforts, and leadership roles in various organizations. Dr. Sowell's dedication to service and faith has earned her numerous awards and recognitions, including being honored as Dentist of the Year by the 7th Congressional District Multi-Ethnic Advisory Task Force. Let's give a round of applause for Dr. Zenobia Sowell. And last but not least, we have Ms. Christina King. She is president of the Shalom Institute, connecting Israel, Africa, and Black America in order to develop global ethnic leaders by developing identity. Let's give a round of applause for Ms. Christina King. Now I am delighted to pass the floor to the esteemed moderator, Mrs. Pam Morris Watson, who will guide us through this segment. Thank you.
Thank you so very much, Dr. Wonderful Kathy. Is it Grant? I think I said that right. Well, good evening, everybody. And it's good to be here. Dr. DJ has done something again. He has brought us all together. I am literally inside of the networking time reception, so I won't be long before you. However, for a senior that's 8 decades old plus, to celebrate her birthday today and bring her family here with her today, that's a phenomenal woman that deserves a round of applause, everybody. Miss Helen, stand up, honey. Yeah, she's not running today. She's sitting, and look at her. Give her a round of applause, everybody. I think you can do much better than that. And I must admit, I am sitting among four incredible, phenomenal women. And there are some more phenomenal women sitting in front of us. And earlier you were told not to use your telephones. However, I need you to pull them out because you need to take a few notes today. And the reason why is because these phenomenal ladies here have something to tell you that you need to take with you and also look at it again and again and again. I will give you a few names without going to tell you things about them. And you must look them up because they are literally what Maya Angelou said decades ago. They're phenomenal women that have done extraordinary things. Just an ordinary person doing extraordinary things. And as I look out, you are here too. And to the gentlemen that are here, thank you for being the gentleman that you are. We wouldn't make it without you. Ladies, give the men a round of applause. So, as we look at the role of a woman in African American history, African women played an important and influential role in African American history. They held leadership roles in various black organizations. There's so much more I want to tell you, but in the interest of time, I am not going to tell you everything that I had planned. Here's a name to write down: Angela Davis. She's now still living and a professor at University of California. You want to know some more about this phenomenal African American woman that made a difference in history? Look her up. Shirley Chisholm. Shirley passed in January of 2005, the co-founder of the National Women's Political Caucus. In 1971, she was an American politician, the first black woman to be elected to the United States Congress. The first black woman to receive the nomination for president of the United States of America. Are there presidents sitting in here other than these incredible four phenomenal women with incredible titles? Here's another name: Rosa Parks. Rosa challenged the status quo of segregation laws in the South. Her quiet yet courageous act of protest in 1955 earned her the nickname Mother of the Freedom Movement. Rosa Parks left us in 2005. Michelle Obama. I'm not going to even tell you anything about her. You know who she is. Harriet Tubman. Nobody has their phones out taking any notes? She freed 70 slave people, including her family and friends, and passed in March of 1913 in New York. Mae Jemison. I'm not going to tell you anything about her. Write that name down: Mae Jemison. Aletha Gibson. I want to tell you something about her, but instead of telling you about her, I'll just tell you that my son does what she did for a living. That's what my son does today. He's a tennis pro. She ran track and golf. Barbara Jordan. You know who she is? I don't want Helen to just say yes. I need someone else to say yes. An American lawyer, educator, politician, and was the first African American elected to Texas Senate. Wilma Rudolph. She overcame childhood polio and went on to become a world record holding Olympic champion in sports. Madam C.J. Walker. And then there's a pilot that I didn't give you the name of, but I see men in here. And I believe you can be an aviator too, young men, just like my youngest son. You can do it too. Not only that, these phenomenal women that I'm sitting among right now, Dr. Appleberry, I'm going to start off with her. She has been an example for decades, ladies, on what you really can be. I pass the mic now to Dr. Appleberry.
Wow. Thank you, Pam. And we call her the sister, Pam, the gospel sister. Everybody just give a hand to our gospel sister here. I call her world renowned because that she is. Before I get started, I would like to say good evening. And I would like to say to our young people and everyone that's here, you don't have to be great to get started, but you got to get started to be great. And you hold on to that and don't have to compare yourself with no one, but compare yourself with that divineness within you to help grow you up. See, sometimes we be in an adult body, but we don't have the mature mind to go with it. So you need to grow up and bring it up so you become a better person. Okay, let me go to this here, because I'm going to have to leave quickly because my driver is out there waiting on me. Oh, yeah. Okay. So I want to say this here. I want to say thank you to Dr. VJ for hearing God say, invite Gwen Appleberry as one of your panelists here to participate in a very honorable occasion this evening. He's the global, international, and national presenter for the global, international company that's here. Oh, wow. Go by. Okay, I got a couple for you. Okay, presented here at Medstar Auditorium today in commemorating the Black History Month. We're going to put our prayer hands toward Dr. VJ because he's always looking out for all of us. And we say thank you, Dr. VJ. Thank you. Now let's take this time and give thanks to all of our prominent dignitaries here today. Most of them have left that panel, but that's all good. They did they say and they did it. Campaign trail is going on. So we want to thank everyone that's here. We want to thank the dignitaries from the White House, from Capitol Hill in Washington, from Springfield, from Chicago City Hall, and from their public offices. Let's now thank all of our guests that's out here now for coming in out of your schedules for being here today. Thank you for being here. My assignment today was on women in Africa, African American history is what is told to me, and what we got from it, or what we get from it. In 1851, African-American evangelist and reform Sojourner Truth gives her famous speech in defense of the rights of black women. Ain't I woman? A speech delivered on Ohio Women's Rights Convention in May 1851. Well, children, where there is so much racket there must be something out killing folks. In her speech, she said, Negroes of the South and the women on the North, all talking about their rights. The white man will be in a fix pretty soon, but what's all this here talking about? That man over there says that women need to be helped into carriages and lifting over ditches and have the best place everywhere. Nobody ever helps, she said, no one ever helps her into carriages, and I had to declare that that's her because I do be helped. But no one has helped her over into carriages, over mud puddles, or gives her any best place to sit. She constantly say, I ain't a woman. And I want you all, I got a couple more times to say it, I want you all to say it with me. I ain't a woman. And what she's saying is, you all giving us a title as female, then respect us as females. You see us about to step over a puddle or step off the stage, help us. Help us. How many men we have in here today? How many gentlemen do we have in it today? Okay, all right. Let's give him a hand, that's right. It goes on to say, look at my arm. I have plowed and planted and gathered into barns, and no man could help me or hurt me. Ain't I a woman? Say it. Ain't I a woman? So where the helps need to be helped, we must what? We must help, okay? Bear the lash as well. And ain't I a woman? Ain't I a woman? That means help where it's needed. I come in here at 2:05 today. They needed help. Ain't I a woman? Somebody laughing because they knew I was pushing tables, pulling out chairs, standing up here, going to get stuff back there on the other side of the medical building. Ain't I a woman? That's what we do. We help. We help. So help us be a woman even better.
Conversations is tough, but yet it is necessary. We have to build relationships, connect with our colleagues based on common interest, and cultivate curiosity about other work styles. You don't have to be friends with everyone, but you do need to be friendly and approachable. Anticipate difficult people along the way. Through your careers, you can expect to have bosses who will be good, great, bad, and yes, horrible. There's something you can take away, as grandmother used to say, from everybody who comes across your path. I have been able to continue my professional growth even under the worst leaders. I was able to get them to invest in me by investing in myself. Being yourself. When I became the CEO of a non-for-profit behavioral health clinic, I would carry that burden about being the only one sitting at many tables. I had to learn to show up more authentically, owning myself, owning my space, and being completely unapologetic about it. Going for it. I tell other women, apply for every job that interests you. Whether you have a job or you're looking for a job or you're just starting your career, don't always go by the job description. Hiring managers are often looking for people who fit well within their organization, even if you don't possess every stated qualification. You're capable of more than what you think you are. Apply. In closing, a championship basketball coach was asked afterwards if he attributed his team's victory win, if he attributed his team's victory to their will to win. He replied, "The most important thing is not the will to win. The most important thing is the will to prepare to win." In other words, championships are really won on the practice floor, the weight room, in the cafeteria, and even in the workplace. The same is true in leadership. A would-be leader who just shows up and wings it throughout the day will not be effective. Leadership requires real-time reasoning and judgment, being in the moment when interacting with team members, and the discipline to shape the plan and action of the present with the vision of the future. In closing here, just as the infamous Spofford wrote, as a black woman, what I have learned from other black women, and here as Ms. Morris said, Dr. Helen Valle, what I've learned from this woman here being around me is when peace like a river attendeth my way, when sorrow like a sea billow rolls, whatever my lot, thou hast taught me to say, it is well, it is well with my soul. Thank you.
Dr. Tanya Winston, everybody. Let's hear it. Yes, another phenomenal woman. Wow, that is so beautiful. When preparation meets opportunity, you just walk in the door. And the next phenomenal woman is Dr. Zenobia Sowell. Put your hands together, everybody, for Dr. Zenobia. You got it? You haven't got it yet. Okay. Give her another hand, everybody. We're getting it here. That's what happens when you look so beautiful, okay? Uh-huh. Oh, give her another hand, everybody. It's almost, okay. Let me see if I can help there. Okay. Give her another hand. There you go. Thank you, Dr. Zenobia.
And my feet shod with the preparation of the gospel of peace. My feet were hooked tonight. Just reflecting on all the voices that we've heard today from Congressman Danny K. Davis and from Representative LaShawn Ford and Mr. Clayton Harris and our mayor of Maywood, the city where I grew up, the town where I grew up, and followed my dreams. You know, a famous black woman said, without a dreamer, there's no dream. So I want to thank the dreamer, Dr. V.J. Prabhakar, for being a dreamer, for being a visionary, and for bringing us all together for a common purpose. Thank you, Dr. VGP. You know, growing up as a young child, it wasn't always popular to be black. You know, I grew up in a mixed community, and, you know, people sometimes kind of look down on kids that were in a mostly white school, and they thought maybe just didn't add up to their standards. But I'm thankful that my parents taught us that we were just as beautiful and just as wonderful as the next, no matter what color, no matter what race, you know, no matter where you came from. And so I'm just so thankful to see all of these young people here today, and I want to encourage you to let your voice be heard. You know, thinking back on centuries ago, black women were very vocal in their, I guess, promotion of the situation that they found themselves in. You know, they were servants, but they were active in the Civil War time of speaking their voice. Sometimes they had to do it quietly, but they were servants in Confederate households. But those Confederate leaders used them as spies, as volunteers, as nurses, whatever their skills were, and they used it for the benefit of the country. And so, regardless of what situation you may find yourself in, use what you have to make a difference and be that dreamer that can make a difference in the world. As I think about, you know, my journey and what I've learned as a black woman, thank you, Doctor, for sharing with us your history, your story, and encouraging us to move forward. There's so much we can do with the little that we have. And that little becomes more when you place it in God's hands. And then when you use it to the best of your ability, whatever that goal and whatever that dream is. African American women played a vital role in the women's rights movement. You know, we're at a time of upcoming elections. Congressman Davis is running again for U.S. Congress. We want to make sure that we support him. Yes. Amen to that. And but we have to get out and vote. You know, wherever we find ourselves, our voice, our vote is important and it matters. In the 19th and 20th century, black women played a major role in united rights and universal suffrage, the right to vote for women. And they were torn between being a black woman, being discriminated against, and and being recognized by white women as important enough to join the fight to vote. So they were torn, but they rose to the occasion and they responded and acted well in both of those challenges. The civil rights agenda was often run by, or mostly run by, black men and white women. Black women weren't allowed to vote. They weren't allowed to march in the parades. And so their voices weren't really heard until those people that were able to vote embraced them and said, you know, we're better and stronger when we come together than we are individually. And then we know that the 15th and the 19th Amendment especially, that gave women the right to vote, made a difference. But black women were very functional and very active in that fight. And just, I'm going to end here, but just to say, you know, your presence and your voices encourage me. Just to see you here and being a part of this gathering, it's so special. And so I just want to encourage you to move forward, move on, and keep your dreams. Follow your dreams. Okay? All right.
Dr. Zenobia Sowell, thank you so very much. The role of women in African American history, another phenomenal woman, everybody. Christina King. Oh, you can do better than that. Yeah. But you can do better than that. Yes, thank you.
There's no one like Dr. VJ, who just came and asked me to add me to this panel. But he's one of the most wonderful things about Dr. VGP is how he brings people together. And in this democracy, all of us who are minorities should understand the importance of being allies with other communities. So in the civil rights movement and in many other movements, it's the allyship of communities together, the African American community and the Jewish community, something that I've studied. But it's the need for those communities to reach out to one another, to get to know one another, to learn about our needs, to learn about the things that are hurting our communities, to learn about our leaders. And so we just want to acknowledge everyone here, and particularly Dr. VGP for his wisdom and insight in bringing communities together. Those strides that are made for one of the greatest things about America is because America recognizes the needs of the minority. And the reason that that's happened, and in many cases the leaders of that have been the African American community who have led for the rights of all people. Dr. King, he knew during the civil rights movement that black people would not be the greatest beneficiaries of the civil rights movement. It was white women, it was Jewish people, it was other minorities who have been the greatest beneficiaries. But the African American community time and time again has led that work for everyone. Because in America, if it's good for the black community, it's good for everybody. Now, the black community needs other minority communities to come alongside in our time of need. I look sometimes when we look at the LGBTQ and all of those efforts, but oftentimes you don't see the reciprocation of those other communities and the needs of the African American community. So I salute all of you today who are not from the black community, who are coming to learn about the history. And that's something that learning about cross cultures is very important in this nation, where one of the only nations in the world who has brought communities and the best of communities from all over the world to come together. But never forget that the minority communities need to be allies with one another, because this nation was founded upon the slavery and the enslavement of a people. And that's the African American community. I want to also leave, as I was sitting and just thinking of what I wanted to share most. And that is that, first of all, I think the greatest lesson in that, in my work with working between the Black and Jewish community, they have a lot of studies about the Holocaust. And you wonder, why would you study the Holocaust? But the lessons of the Holocaust are to learn about the inhumanity of man to man, and also to learn about the great compassion that we can have for one another. So as I leave here and take my seat, I never share this, and my good friend Jonathan would attest to that, but I think it's important in this setting to share. I come from a family where my great-grandfather was an attorney. My grandfather and all of his brothers were attorneys, went to New York University. My grandmother and all of her sisters went to Fisk University. They were social workers. My uncle was appointed by President Carter as the judge in the United States Court of Appeals, appointed by the President of the United States. My father is my father has his PhD in organic chemistry. I didn't know how smart he was until I went to Duke University, and all of the people who started out wanting to be doctors, when they would fail organic chemistry and become political science majors or whatever, I realized just how smart my father really was. An African American man at 8 years old who had in the summer times would pick cotton, but went on to Lincoln University, went on to Fisk University, got his PhD at Utah State University. My brothers, my 4 brothers, are all the husbands of one wife. They take care of all of their children. They clean their yard, they own their houses, and they take care of their children. They don't have any children out of wedlock. I'm not making any judgments. I've been divorced, so I don't have the same testimony that they do. But this is also a very common African American history. We're not all from the inner cities. We're not all have drug addicts or people in prison. We have this history is a very common history of the African American community as well. My brothers, I went to Duke University. My brother went to Stanford University. He came to Duke to do an internship with me to take care of his little sister, and then he went on to Yale Law School. Half of my cousins, he went on to Yale Medical School. Half of my cousins in my family also attended Yale Law School. So I just want to share with you a very common history of a regular African American.
You've heard from these incredible, phenomenal women. And now, Dr. Grant, Dr. DJ, let's see if there's any questions. All right? Dr. DJ. B? V? No, my friend, Dr. VJ. Dr. VJ, okay, he knows what I mean. I'm from West Virginia. I'm learning how to say some names. I'm doing pretty good. Okay, any questions? There's one. Yes.
Yes. It's been great listening to all the panelists today. Very, very enlightening, even though we've heard so much about the Black history and the contributions made by this wonderful community.
Yes.
And, the people that were the first people on earth, and we are, we carry the same gene too. So my question to you as a woman, my question to you as an Afro-American leader or somebody who's trying to make an impact, do you think there has been enough media attention or engagement Or do we need something more? You know, do we need something more to raise our concerns, our voices? Your opinion, please.
In my opinion, I think that the African American race, when our last presenter just stated that we are all, on drugs, we are all incarcerated, and that is not the case. We have a very rich inheritance. I was raised by my grandmother who lived to be 91, and there were morals and values that were taught in our home. One of her favorite mottos that we had to say every day as we left out to school, that failure was not an option. And with that, that meant no matter what you did, no matter what task was in front of you, to fail at it was not an option. I am now 55. I have 3 children, 35, 29, and 24. And they all know failure is not an option. When they say it's something they cannot do, they had to write lines. Philippians 4:13. I can do all things through Christ that strengthens me. So, no, I do not think that the African American community gets the right press. Usually when there's something positive going on, there's no media around. It's only when things are negative. So yes, we do, Dr. VJ, doing things like this, bringing other cultures together for you to see a different aspect of who we are is vital, so that you go and you take away that, you know what, I met some very intelligent African American men and women and politicians, so you don't walk away thinking that every African American person is a bad person.
Global Eye Media is here today. However, and give them a round of applause. Dr. VJ and Global Eye Media deserves a round of applause. But this is good news. Where is the television stations for the good news that is going on here today with people that were here? Who said the White House? Who said Congressman? All right, and all of the other people. Where is the rest of the media today? Global Eye Media is here. Thank you. You want me to call your name? You're so wonderful. You're everywhere. I just think you're wonderful. Thank you. Did we answer your question? Thank you. Thank you so very much. These are good. This is good, what's going on here. This is good. Dr. Grant, you have another person.
Yes, we have another.
Thank you.
It's not a question, it's a statement to what you said. Let me prophetically just say where I see us going as a people. In order to change the narrative of what's being said about us, we have to go into ownership. And so we need to own the media. We need to own our own outlets of communication. We need to own television stations and networks and production and movies and all of that. And so let me just go ahead and just put that in the atmosphere and in the air, that God is getting ready to raise up some people that will own the media so that we can change the narrative of what's said about black people in this nation. Thank you, and God bless you.
So Tyler Perry owns some things, right? Anybody that has seen Mama's Baby, Maxine's Baby, anybody that's seen that, anybody that has not seen that, you might want to see that. However, we need 100 of them, because if they can do that, they will follow us. We need to be followed. Next question, please.
Yeah, hi. I was wondering, like, when you guys were growing up, did you have any heroes, and did they inspire you in your life?
Did we have heroes? Okay, I'll start. My hero was my Aunt Mabel. My Aunt Mabel left me at the age of 91. My Aunt Mabel made sure I was in church Sunday morning, Sunday afternoon, and Sunday evening, Tuesday night and Thursday night. I rode in the car in the middle seat in the front. Now, cars don't have those middle seats anymore. That was the lady that inspired me. I wrote about her, lessons learned from Aunt Mabel. So I'll answer that to you representing Pam. Now, let me pass the mic on.
Thank you.
Yes, my first inspiration was my mom. My mom was phenomenal. We had devotions when I was very young, and we sat at the table going through the book of Genesis. And I turned to her one day when I was about 5, because we were reading at 2 or 3. And I said, Mom, where was I before you and Daddy saw me? She said, you were in the mind of God. And that just put something in my heart and in my spirit. And I said, wow, I must be pretty important if God was thinking about me before even my mother and father saw me. And I just grew up with that confidence that she gave me. She didn't bat an eye when she said you were in the mind of God. And I'm just so thankful for my mother, who's gone on to be with the Lord. But my second inspiration was my kindergarten teacher, who inspired me to be a dentist. She had a career day. We called it show and tell at that time. She said, dress up like what you want to be when you grow up. And I told my mother, I want to be a dentist. And so she went to Kmart or whatever stores were there at that time. She bought me a little white coat. She found a little bag, doctor's bag. It was red. I can remember very, very plainly. It had a stethoscope, some candy pills, a thermometer. And she said, of all things, it had a dental mirror in it. And she looked at my dad and said, I think we got something here. And that was my path from then on.
And how long have you been a dentist?
This year,
in practice?
This year I celebrate 30 years in one location. And I'll be celebrating that later on this year. You'll hear more about it.
Thank you, Dr. Silva.
Your role.
My grandmother inspired me. 91 years old. That's who my inspiration was. She taught me to be who I am today.
Thank you, thank you, thank you. And before Dr. Grant, Dr. VJ. Dr. VJ, stop right now. Everybody in this room, look at that man and say, we love you. One more time. I need to feel it. One more time. Dr. Grant, it's all yours. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you so much. Go ahead, Dr. Winston. Do you have something to say? Well, thank you guys so much for joining us. Thank you for an insightful conversation. We really appreciate you. Let's give a round of applause for our panel one more time. So now we will have closing remarks by Shivam Viswanathan. He is our Dean of Students of the Global Eye International Institute for Leadership. Give a round of applause. And he will give the closing remarks. Shivam is also the co-founder of the AANA. Shivam is also the managing partner of the SE Events and executive director of Indian American Business Coalition. Please welcome Dean Shivam Viswanathan.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much for that beautiful introduction. So I hope all of you enjoyed today's session. I enjoyed it so much. I learned so much. I'm sure all of you did too. Please give a big round of applause to our panelists, the first and the second panel, and of course all the volunteers who worked to set this up together, and most importantly, our mentor, our guide, Dr. VGP. Please give him a big round of applause.